Georgia is heading on the road to play Alabama in a rematch of the SEC championship in the SEC's new best rivalry, and the loser of this game will not be making the college football playoff. Let's talk about it.
Command from Miller at the start of this game. He's got to have it right now. And they take a downfield shot. And the catch is made. It's Ryan Williams. Still spinning free. Touchdown Alabama. The answer in one play. 75 yards for the 17-year-old. Are you kidding us?
Got Caden Proctor, the big tackle on the left side. They're going to throw it to him. Big fella. Barreling downhill, Proctor marshaling down near the pylon.
That's got to be a nightmare because it doesn't even matter how good you've looked. When they're across the field from you, 53 1/3 yards away, there are those crimson helmets. Here we go again, and it happened again last night.
With punts and field goals, special teams players. There's a rich history in the SEC championship game. Right on cue, Georgia with the block.
The 2025 SEC championship trophy.
So, Alabama versus Georgia. It is one of the biggest games in the SEC every single year. We've seen this game in the regular season. We've seen it in SEC titles. We've seen it in national titles. But again, it's going to be in the regular season for the third year in a row. This game will be happening in week 6 of the college football season. Coming into this year, both of these teams are very hungry for a national title. The SEC has been starved of even an appearance in a national title. The last time the SEC won it or was even in it, Georgia won back-to-back in 21 and 22, and obviously Bama coming off of their Saban 6-title dynasty. So both of these teams are very fluent in winning national titles, but for this game specifically, Kirby Smart was 1-7 against the Tide, with that only win coming in 2021, the national title. Last year, he loses again. Now he lost at home, and then they beat him in a rematch, 28-7 in the SEC championship. The storylines last year was that Kirby can't beat Alabama. He beat them once, but the controversy of when they beat him in the national title was that Jameson Williams got injured. Before he got injured in that national title, Bama was winning. They were playing better. When they played earlier that year with Jameson Williams, Bama beat. So it was only like Georgia could only ever beat Alabama on a neutral site when they were injured, and that kind of still the same case. When Kirby beat Georgia or Alabama in the SEC title, Bama was very injured. They had 4 or 5 starters out. Ty Simpson had the spine injury. I mean, he was, if you know College Football 26, where you have the health meter, he was on like 2 bars, 1 bar. So Kirby's actually, I mean, you can make a case that Kirby Smart has never beaten Alabama when they are healthy. But now this game is heading back into Tuscaloosa. He has never beaten Alabama on the road in Tuscaloosa. Remember, the last time these teams played in Tuscaloosa was the Ryan Williams game. Heading into this year for Georgia, Kirby Smart has a returning quarterback in Gunnar Stockton. He is kind of been the next in line for the white, sturdy quarterbacks that Kirby Smart likes with, I mean, I don't know, you had Gunnar Stockton, and then before Carson Beck, and before that, Stetson Bennett. So Kirby Smart has his type when he likes quarterbacks. But on the other hand, Alabama is losing a ton. So is Georgia, but Georgia did not have double-digit guys drafted. Alabama, they did. They had 10 guys drafted. They had their quarterback drafted, Ty Simpson, Caden Proctor, the left tackle. Those were the first-round picks. And then they had some guys later. They lost running back Jam Miller, Isaiah Horton as he went to Texas A&M. They also lost Jeremy Bernard, who was really that wide receiver 1 last year for the Tide. He got drafted to, I think, the Steelers. So Bama is losing much more than Georgia is. Georgia's losing it a little bit. They lost also their left tackle, Monroe Freeling. He got drafted by, I think, the Carolina Panthers. But they are projecting starting their 5-star quarterback, Keelon Russell, who, if you have not watched my Alabama spring game video, go watch it. It'll be pinned up here. He was amazing. He was amazing in the spring game. It's not decided yet who will be starting for Alabama. Is it going to be Keelon Russell, who was the second quarterback behind Bryce Underwood at Michigan? But they also have Austin Mack, who's the veteran guy that Kalen DeBoer brought over from Washington. So that's more of his guy, but Keelon Russell seems like he is going to be the start-out guy. Both look very good, at least in that spring game. It did seem somewhat close, so we could see Austin Mack, but I am projecting five-star quarterback Keelon Russell will be starting for them. But we have not also seen Keelon Russell in meaningful snaps. He was a true freshman last year, so we'll have to see actually how good he is heading into this year. So the history for this matchup, there has been a total of 76 meetings between these two. Alabama leads this series 45-27 with 4 ties. So they are kind of way up on Georgia, and a lot of that's Paul Bear Bryant and Nick Saban. Georgia had just won the past matchup, and it's unfortunate for how good this rivalry has become since it's not like a historical rivalry. It doesn't have a name to it. So Bama fans or Georgia fans, let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you would name it, because for a rivalry, I mean, it's Alabama and Georgia. Those are the two premium programs in the SEC, and they play each other, and it's some of the biggest matchups every year, and it doesn't even have a name. So for matchups, I'm going to throw up a graphic right now of the position battle. It's going to have all the positions of quarterback. You're going to have 10 positions: quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, cornerback, safeties, and special teams. And at the bottom, we'll have coaching. And this is kind of just showing roster-wise who I think is better. We'll go position by position, but also just throw up the graphic here. So for quarterback, I think it's very close. I got to give the edge to Georgia with Gunnar Stockton because he's a multi-year starter. Keelon Russell has never started before. In the era of college football, everyone that wins national titles are veteran guys. You don't see guys like Trevor Lawrence winning national titles anymore, or freshmen or sophomores winning national titles, because the talent is not stacked up. You don't have a stacked 2018 Clemson team with that defense with a young quarterback, and he's able to win just because of how good the surrounding talent is. We don't have that anymore. Even last year with Julian Sain being a redshirt freshman in his first year starting with that generational defense, he couldn't do it because he was not a returning starter. So I'm going to give the edge to Gunnar Stockton. For running back, I'm going to give to Georgia. Bama had lost Jam Miller, and I'm not saying I don't believe in Bama's running back rooms. I mean, they have Daniel Hill, who had 75 carries, 284 yards, 6 touchdowns, but that 3.8 yards per average. He wasn't only a true sophomore. He's more of a brute running back. He's 6'1", 244, but I got to give it to Georgia. If you have not watched the Georgia spring game, man, Chauncey Bowens is a monster. He will run through a wall for that team, and I'm going to give the edge to Georgia. So Georgia's up 2-0. Wide receiver, this might be the easiest one. It's Bama. Georgia has never really had like an elite wide receiver core, even when they have elite receivers. Think of George Pickens. Think of McConkey. It's always been the tight ends, which is what Georgia, and that's historically, they prioritize tight ends over receivers. I think Georgia's either had one or they've had 0 1,000-yard receivers ever. I mean, Ohio State has like 1 or 2, I mean, at least 1, sometimes even 2 every year. So I'm going to give it to Bama. For tight end, it's Georgia. Georgia will always win it. I don't care the talent. I don't care. Georgia's always winning tight end. For O-line, this one's really close because Georgia lost Freeling and Bama lost Proctor. They both lost their tackles, but I will say Kirby's always had great offensive lines, and they have Drew Bobo back, the center. So I'm going to give it to Georgia. For defensive line, this is a tie, and the reason why it's kind of a tie is I don't really know much. I tried to do a research about these trenches, but it's a lot of newer guys. So it's not like, oh, household name right there. So it's a toss-up. I would lean Georgia just because Georgia's had better defenses recently, but Georgia's defense in the playoff games against actual good teams has been god-awful. Think of the Ole Miss game, even the Notre Dame game, where they only allowed 23 points, but the defensive line never really got after, what was the Notre Dame quarterback? What was his name? Riley Leonard. They never really got after Riley Leonard. You think of the past couple of Bama games. I mean, I guess in the SEC championship they got to him, If you think of the Ole Miss game twice last year and the year before that when they lost, the defensive line, they're not there yet. The past 2 to 3, really only the past 2 years, the defensive line for Georgia has not really, they've been good, they've been really talented, but when it matters, they're not showing up a ton. So I'm going to give it a toss-up. Linebacker, toss-up again. Both of these teams don't have great linebackers right now. Georgia had just lost C.J. Allen, so they're replacing it a little bit for their best starter at Mike. So I'll say another toss-up. So for D-line and linebacker, I'll say it's a toss-up. For cornerback, I got to give it to Georgia. Look, Georgia has Ellis Robinson IV, who, if you don't know who that is, he had a very quiet but very good redshirt freshman sophomore year last year, as he was the second best player in his class behind none other than who else? Jeremiah Smith. Last year, he had 13 solo tackles, 4 interceptions, and 7 pass deflections. And we'll compare that to the number 1 cornerback in his next class, Devin Sanchez stats, who played in the exact same amount of games. Both were the number 1 cornerback in their country. Devin Sanchez had 12 solo tackles. That's less. Had 0 interceptions. Ellis Robinson IV had 4. He had 2 pass deflections for Devin Sanchez, and Ellis Robinson had 7. So, and Devin Sanchez was a good cornerback last year. This guy's the real deal. So I'm going to give it to Georgia. And also, if you did not watch that 7-on-7 camp from a couple years ago when those two matched up, Ellis Robinson he can hold his own against Jeremiah Smith. I mean, so can Devin Sanchez. Devin Sanchez can do it against today's Jeremiah Smith, not high school one. But I'm going to give it to Georgia. At safety, I'm going to go with Bama. Georgia, when I think of Georgia safeties, the first thing I really think of is that Tennessee game last year. Not great. They kind of got beat over the top a lot against the receivers that they played. Think of the Alabama game, the first time Ryan Williams had that drop touchdown, but he was wide ass open. And unless they're going cover 1, cover 0, every single time this happens, then this is on the safeties. And with Bama, they have Bray Hubbard and Keon Sabb. So I'm going to give the edge to Bama. Special teams, yeah.
SEC championship game, right on cue. Georgia with the block.
I think we're going with Georgia. I think we're going to go with Georgia on special teams. So overall, Georgia wins 6-2-2. And if you have not watched my other early prediction previews, if you know what this is, it's the 10 positions. Georgia won 6 positions, Bama won 2, and there's 2 toss-ups. Even if you give all the toss-ups to Bama, it's 6-4. Georgia still wins. So Georgia has the roster advantage over Bama. But Georgia had a better team and roster in 2025, in 2024, and in 2023. What is Bama's record against Georgia in those years? 3-1. And Kalen DeBoer is 2-1 in those. So it's not just Saban. In the past 3 years, not including this year, in the past 3 years, so 25, 24, and 23, Georgia has had the better roster than Bama. Bama is 3-1. And Georgia's only win is when Bama had their practically injured quarterback. Yeah, that's my thought on that. Georgia wins the matchups, but Bama doesn't really seem to care when it comes up to that. All right, so some of my personal thoughts before we get into my prediction about this. Georgia has won the SEC 2 years in a row. They beat Texas in overtime, and then they destroyed Bama in the title last year. They have a returning quarterback in a championship year. This is Georgia's best championship team since 2023. And honestly, you could say it's their best one since 22, just because Carson Beck was the quarterback in 23. And maybe it was Carson Beck before he was asked, but it's still Carson Beck. But Bama almost never loses at home. The record over the past decade, I guess 11 years since 2015, they are 65-3. That is number 1 in the country. Georgia is 56-5. So Bama's number 1. They've only lost 3 games at home in the past decade, That was 2015 Ole Miss. And that Ole Miss team got to 10 wins. That would have been a 12-team playoff team. They would have made the playoffs that year. 2019 LSU. That was a national. I mean, that was maybe the greatest, second greatest college team of all time. And then 23 Texas, who was one play away from making the national title in 2023. Bama does not lose to anyone at home that does not at least get to 10 wins a season. I almost don't even want to predict this because of how close it is. And almost Georgia does not beat Bama on the road. They don't beat Bama often. Bama doesn't really lose at home. I know Bama. Okay, I'll give you a little bit of lore if you're a new viewer. Just bear with me for a second. Bama Joe Bob is a guy who watches my videos. He, I would say, is the first fan. He was not the first subscriber. He is like the first fan of this show. Was the first one. He was the first one that ever wrote me an email, was the first one ever, left comments on my videos, and he still watches. And he's a diehard Bama fan. And look, I love the Bama. I think Alabama's fan base, personally, in my experience, Alabama fans, you have been the best fan base to me. The best. More than Ohio State fans don't really interact with me that much. I don't know what's up with them. Oregon's pretty good, but Bama by far has been the best fan base to me. And I have felt so bad to Bama Joe Bob because I don't ever pick Alabama. And I haven't really been wrong a ton. I haven't been super high on Bama. Bama's they've kind of fallen off a little bit in the past couple of years. There's been a lot of controversy with Kalen DeBoer. So I want to make a truce to Bama Joe Bob. Listen, I know you're watching, just listen. Anytime this season that I pick Bama to lose and they win, you can write a comment, send in a video, come on the show live, whatever, and say whatever you want. You can make a fool out of me, say whatever you want, have your little victory lap on the show. That's only if I pick Bama to lose and they win. Because I personally, I feel bad. I feel bad that I pick Bama to lose a ton, all the time. This record of this home winning streak, honestly, this game is so close to call right now that I almost don't want to do it, but I got to, so. For my prediction for this game, I think this game will be a shootout just like 24. I really like this Alabama offense, and Georgia's defense, just like Oregon, does not play well almost ever in big games. Not like playing Texas last year was not like a season on the line game. When the season's on the line, Georgia's defense does not show up, and they have not showed up for a couple years now. I don't think Bama will get up 28-0 like 2024, but I also think that this game will be better than the two games that happened last year. The one in the SEC Championship and the one in Athens were very slow, very boring games. This is obviously going to be a night game. I think it'll be deadlocked early. I think Keelon Russell, still trying to figure things out. I think they play well. I actually think Bama's up 17-10 at halftime. I think Ryan Coleman Williams gets a huge touchdown before half that gives Bama the lead. Kirby Smart's superpower is sleeping in the first half and showing up in the second half. I think Georgia just unloads in the second half. I think they have 21 unanswered. I think Georgia's up 31-17. I think Bama scores. It's 31-24. Georgia punts. Bama's looking to tie the game. There's a minute left. You only got one timeout left. It's under the 2-minute warning. Can Keelon Russell tie this game to potentially going to overtime to beat the Georgia in his first ever real game? No. I think he probably throws a pick six or a pick and ends up, I think Georgia ends up winning this game 38-24. Look, this game is going to be very close. I know I had Georgia winning by 14, but really they won by 7. Kirby's petty. He likes to run up the score. So I say 38-24. If you want to say this game was 31-24, that's fine. But I know Bama fans are going to be upset. The only reason why is because Keelon Russell is not returning. He's not a returning starter. That's the only reason why. Also, they don't have much at running back. They're losing a lot on the offensive line. The defense isn't great, but Bama plays better against Georgia anyways. So it's specifically because of the experience that Keelon Russell does not have. If Keelon Russell was a second or third year starter, I am picking Bama to win this game because Keelon Russell is amazingly talented. But for now, I am picking Georgia to win 38-24 on the road as they keep their undefeated season alive. Again, I am sorry, Bama fans. I know I don't pick you often. You got a lot of games I'll probably pick you in this year, so just stay tuned. If you like, don't unsubscribe yet. I'm going to be predicting more Bama games where they're probably going to win. But I got the Dogs with the win. Again, if Keelon Russell had another year of starting, I'd probably pick the Tide to win. But that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you've not yet, please hit the subscribe button. We just got to 340, trying to get to 500 before the beginning of the next college football season. But again, that's all I have for you guys today. I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow. And as always, thank you